When self-improvement becomes pressure. Let me ask you something honestly. When was the last time you rested? Without feeling guilty? Not because you were sick. Not because you had no choice. But because you felt done. If rest makes you uncomfortable. If doing nothing feels wrong. If productivity feels like a moral duty. This video is for you. Because at some point, self-improvement stopped being helpful. And quietly, it turned into pressure. There was a time when improving yourself meant something simple. Learning a new skill. Becoming a little healthier. Living a little better than before. But today, improvement has become constant. Always optimize. Always grow. Always do more. And if you're not improving, you're falling behind. This is what toxic productivity looks like. Not working hard because you want to. But working because stopping feels dangerous. The problem is not productivity itself. The problem is when productivity becomes your identity. When your value is measured by how much you do, how busy you look, how efficient you appear. At that point, rest is no longer recovery. It feels like failure. Here's what makes this dangerous. Toxic productivity doesn't feel toxic at first. It feels responsible. It feels ambitious. It feels like discipline. You tell yourself, I'm just being serious about my life. I'm investing in my future. I don't want to waste time. And from the outside, it looks admirable. But internally, something shifts. You stop asking, is this meaningful? And start asking, am I doing enough? That question never has an answer. Because enough keeps moving. The more you do, the higher the standard becomes. And your nervous system never gets a break. This is not accidental. Modern self-improvement culture is built on urgency. There is always a next habit to build. A new routine to follow. A better version of you to chase. And subtly, the message becomes clear. Who you are right now is not acceptable. You must earn rest. You must earn peace. You must earn self-worth. So you keep going. Even when you're tired. Even when you're empty. Even when your body is asking you to slow down. You override the signal. Because slowing down feels like falling behind. This is where toxic productivity disconnects you from yourself. Instead of listening to your internal state, you start listening to external standards. Metrics. Benchmarks. Online advice. Your days become a performance. Not for joy. Not for meaning. But for validation. And the brain learns something very specific. Safety comes from doing more. Rest feels unsafe. So your nervous system stays activated. Always alert. Always pushing. Always preparing for the next task. This constant activation has a cost. You might still function. You might even succeed. But you feel strangely disconnected. You achieve goals. And feel nothing. You finish tasks. And immediately look for the next one. There is no satisfaction. Only relief. And relief is not the same as fulfillment. This is an important distinction. Healthy productivity is driven by purpose. Toxic productivity is driven by fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being ordinary. Fear of not being enough. And fear is a terrible fuel. It burns fast. And it burns you with it. The most dangerous part. Toxic productivity is socially rewarded. You get praised for being busy. For sacrificing rest. For pushing through exhaustion. No one tells you to stop. Until your body does. Or your mind does. Or your motivation collapses completely. And when that happens, you don't feel relieved. You feel ashamed. Because you've been taught that slowing down means something is wrong with you. In part 2, we're going to look deeper. Why does productivity turn toxic in the first place? What is happening in the brain when improvement becomes pressure? And why do so many driven people end up burned out, anxious, and empty? Because this is not a personal failure. It's a system working exactly as designed. And once you see that system clearly, you can finally step out of it. Why self-improvement turns into pressure. To understand why productivity becomes toxic, we have to look at how the brain responds to pressure. Not motivation. Not ambition. Pressure. The human brain was not designed for constant optimization. It was designed for survival. And survival depends on one thing above all else: safety. When self-improvement becomes constant, your brain no longer sees it as growth. It sees it as evaluation. Every task becomes a test. Every habit becomes proof. Every day becomes a verdict on your worth. And that changes everything. Instead of working from curiosity or meaning, you begin working from fear. Fear of falling behind. Fear of wasting time. Fear of becoming irrelevant. This fear activates the stress response. And stress, in small doses, can be useful. But chronic stress changes how the brain works. When your nervous system stays activated for too long, your body shifts into survival mode. In survival mode, the brain prioritizes performance over well-being. You become efficient, but not reflective. You do more, but feel less. This is why people in toxic productivity cycles often say, "I don't know what I want anymore." Because wanting requires safety. Under constant pressure, the brain shuts down long-term thinking. It focuses on immediate output. This is where self-improvement quietly becomes self-punishment. You don't rest to recover. You rest to prepare for more work. And even rest becomes productive. You track it. You optimize it. You turn it into another task. But the nervous system does not experience that as rest. True rest signals safety. Optimized rest still signals demand. So the system never resets. Another key factor is identity. In productivity culture, identity becomes performance-based. You are not valuable because you exist. You are valuable because you produce. This belief often forms early. Through school. Through comparison. Through praise for achievement rather than effort or presence. Over time, the brain learns a rule. If I stop producing, I lose value. So slowing down feels threatening. Not just to your goals, but to your sense of self. This is why even successful people feel anxious when they pause. Silence becomes uncomfortable. Stillness feels wrong. Because without activity, there is nothing to prove worth. And this is where self-improvement becomes compulsive. You're no longer improving to live better. You're improving to feel okay. And that never lasts. There is always another goal. Another routine. Another metric. The moment you reach one standard, your brain raises the next. Because achievement does not calm a nervous system built on fear. It only delays the fear. This also explains why toxic productivity often leads to burnout. Burnout is not caused by working too much. It's caused by working too long. Without psychological safety. When effort is driven by fear, the system cannot sustain itself. Eventually, the brain protects you. By shutting down motivation entirely. You feel exhausted, numb, and disconnected. And this collapse feels confusing. You did everything right. You followed the rules. You stayed disciplined. So why does everything feel worse? Because discipline without safety turns into self-control at war with the self. And no one wins that fight. The final piece is social reinforcement. Toxic productivity is praised. People admire how busy you are, how much you handle, how little you rest. No one sees the internal cost. So the behavior continues until your body forces a stop, or your mind does. And when that happens, people don't tell you that the system was broken. They tell you to recover, so you can return to it. In part 3, we will talk about what healthy productivity actually looks like. Not doing less for the sake of it, but creating a system where effort and rest coexist. Where improvement supports life, instead of consuming it. Because productivity is not the enemy. Pressure is. And once pressure is removed, growth becomes sustainable again. Healthy productivity. When growth supports life instead of consuming it. If toxic productivity is driven by fear, then healthy productivity must be built on something else. Not pressure. Not urgency. Not constant self-optimization. Healthy productivity is built on safety. This may sound strange at first. We are taught that progress requires discomfort. That growth demands sacrifice. That rest must be earned. But the brain does not thrive under constant threat. It adapts. It survives. But it does not flourish. Healthy productivity begins when effort and rest stop being enemies. When rest is no longer a reward for exhaustion, but a requirement for clarity. The first shift is internal. You stop measuring your worth by how much you produce. This does not mean becoming careless or unambitious. It means separating who you are from what you do. When identity is no longer tied to output, the nervous system relaxes. And when the nervous system relaxes, focus improves. This is not philosophical. It's neurological. A calm system can think long-term. A stressed system can only react. The second shift is how you define progress. In toxic productivity, progress is external. More tasks. More metrics. More visible output. In healthy productivity, progress is internal. Clarity. Energy. Sustainability. You begin to ask different questions. Not, how much did I get done today? But, did today support the life I want to live? That question changes everything. Because it allows effort to have context. Work becomes one part of life, not the proof of life. The third shift is how you design effort. Healthy productivity does not rely on constant intensity. It relies on rhythm. There are periods of focus and periods of recovery. Both are intentional. Both are respected. This mirrors how the body works. Muscles grow during rest, not during strain. The brain is no different. When you remove guilt from rest, rest becomes effective. And when rest is effective, effort becomes lighter. Another crucial change is how you respond to low energy. In toxic productivity, low energy is treated as a flaw. Something to override. Something to fix immediately. In healthy productivity, low energy is information. It tells you something needs attention, not punishment. Listening does not mean stopping forever. It means adjusting intelligently. This is how people avoid burnout, without losing momentum. Finally, healthy productivity redefines self-improvement itself. Self-improvement is no longer about becoming someone else. It is about supporting who you already are. You improve not to feel worthy, but to live with more ease. You build habits that reduce friction, not increase pressure. You choose systems that support consistency, not heroic effort. And slowly, something important happens. You stop feeling chased by time. You stop racing an invisible standard. Progress becomes quieter, but deeper. You may do fewer things, but the things you do matter more. And most importantly, you regain trust in yourself. You no longer need to push constantly to prove anything. You move when it makes sense. You rest when it's needed. And productivity returns to what it was always meant to be. A tool, not a measure of worth. Toxic productivity tells you that you are never enough. Healthy productivity reminds you that growth is not a race. You don't need to do more to deserve peace. You need a system that lets you grow without destroying yourself in the process. And once that system is in place, progress stops feeling heavy. It starts feeling human.